Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Himmer, the Executive Director here at GuildSomm. And today I'm excited to share with you many of the benefits that you may not know exist within the GuildSomm community. You may know us from our podcast or select feature articles or even some of our videos, but there's so much more within a GuildSomm membership. And thank you for joining and having some interest in that today. So, a little bit about GuildSomm before we dive into the platform itself. GuildSomm started about 15 years ago as an online community that really brought people together that were either studying for a particular exam or certification, or just trying to find a network of like-minded professionals or even enthusiasts that were curious about wine, beer, spirits, etc. And it has expanded drastically since then to be able to be a resource that allows lots of different people around the world to contribute and also to really benefit from these amazing resources. We have various styles, various mediums of content from audio and e-learning and videos and different styles because we know everyone digests and learns content differently, especially as we're on the go or again, kind of switching different parts of our careers or even just our interests too. We are an international nonprofit membership organization, so we're very thankful for our membership base and many of our regional sponsors that help bring the content to life every week as we're publishing new content, but also having, enough interest for aficionados or enthusiasts that are just learning about it from an interest or passion side of it too. So we really strive to create and deliver the most accurate and comprehensive data that builds with you within your journey of learning more about wine education. We are not associated with any particular certification or organization that does exams. We instead act as a resource that can be used whether you're studying for a WSET diploma or the Institute of Masters of Wine, the Court of Master Sommeliers, Society of Wine Educator, Wine Scholar Guild, you name it. We've really partnered with all of these different organizations to have a complementary resource that can be used with those additional study materials that are through that certification body as well. We have a membership community of over 9,000 members worldwide in over 90 countries represented. And our membership community can connect virtually and online through our very vast discussion forum and study forum, as well as events, webinars, and even live events like the one showcased here in the picture, where with our partner, the Sonoma County Wine Growers, we brought 15 finalists that took a very difficult online exam to Sonoma County during harvest to really experience it from the growers and the winemaking side of it too. And we look forward to having more events like that in the future as well. Many of you likely know about us, as I mentioned, from some of the free content that's available. But as you dive into the website, there is so much more that's available, again, depending on what your interests are or even what your own what your own goals are in the learning journey, which, as we know, within the beverage community, it's never ending with new wine laws, with lots of different, ever changing events as well. And we really keep that in mind as we're creating and developing new content that kind of grows with your passion too. So let's jump in into the website itself, and I'll show you around, and hopefully that'll give some light onto some of the additional things that are available. As I mentioned, we publish new content every single week at GuildSomm, and from this homepage, this can easily be found, whether it's a feature article, a new podcast, a study guide, a staff training guide. It could be some new vintage cards, but those can always be found right here on the carousel as you're thinking through what have I maybe missed if I haven't been on GuildSomm for a couple of weeks, and quickly can catch up that way. We also have, as I mentioned, a number of different events. So those can always be found here, whether they are virtual or a blind tasting webinar, which gives you practical application and to get direct feedback from a master sommelier that can share kind of, the benefits of multiple ways of studying blind tasting and practicing it, but also, again, getting that direct feedback on your own tasting notes if that's something of interest to you. And then we have our discussion forums that are really driven by our members, and the topics can vary from what's the best style of shoe to wear when working floor service, or it could be I'm visiting this particular region. What are the best places to dine, or the regional spots to visit? And we also have a study forum, and this is really again intended to have different people from around the world find other students, other kind of enthusiasts that are looking to either practice a blind tasting structure or just to come together virtually and discuss a particular region. So within these study forums, they just keep expanding as we again have more and more members that are kind of interested in different communities. But we have, it might be somebody studying for their advanced sommelier certificate and bringing people together to jump on a Zoom every Monday. That again is very driven by the members, but we can certainly help facilitate or guide any of our members to find these resources if they can't find that. Some of us are blessed to be in really large markets with huge, tasting groups and different study groups. Or, you might be in a more remote area that doesn't really have that level of community of sommeliers, or even within just students of wine that want to be able to kind of come together. So being able to quickly sort through whether it's a certain certification over here on the right-hand side, or even just scrolling through to find, a network to grab coffee in the mornings and chat on different, industry topics. This is really a great place to do that. We also have other professionals resources like job boards and industry events that can sometimes even just kind of share what types of jobs are currently out there. But maybe you have a job opening that you're wanting to post and you're trying to understand what language should I use, or what is a competitive salary or competitive rate. So being able to utilize a lot of those resources too for our members is a great way to stay connected. When we think about all of the content that exists that's behind or that's member exclusive and behind the public facing side of it, this is our mega menu. It's divided in kind of two different ways. It may be on the left-hand side that you want to progress through the different guides, really as they go a little bit deeper as you get started. So for instance, our staff training guides available in both English and Spanish are all downloadable resources that you can share with your team. You can print out in a study binder, you can make flashcards out of them, but it'll really give you a nice high-level overview of a region, from history to key terminology, soil structure. It'll go into kind of what are the key grapes, what are different wine laws with maps. And then each one ends with, as I scroll down quickly, different review quizzes. So this allows you to kind of have a knowledge check on your own, but also do this at a pre-shift, or do this as a fun, question of the week, and have your team or your, group of employees or your tasting group kind of just go through that process together. So again, these are great opportunities for a little bit more of that foundational knowledge, but sometimes also just act as a nice refresher before maybe a presentation, or before a sales pitch that you are really wanting to focus on a particular region. Then we progress from there into our study guides and our expert guides. So I'm going to click on Northern Italy. I'm heading to Vinitaly, USA in just a few days. So we'll stay topical with Italy, but this will then give you an overview that's a little bit more technical and academic in nature versus the staff training guides. But it gives you, again, kind of just a nice overview of these different appellations and what are the laws and what are the key grapes and really what are the key takeaways. Also having these review questions at the end. So review quizzes we have from a beginner, intermediate, and expert. And again, because we're not associated or affiliated with one particular exam or certification body, we just recommend that if you're really early starting off in your wine studies, to start with the beginner quizzes. And then as you progress, you can go from intermediate then to expert. Certainly if you are, studying or attempting an exam such as the Master of Wine or Master Sommelier exam, or even kind of WSET diploma or advanced sommelier, then in that intermediate to expert is really going to kind of show you where what certain areas maybe you still need to go back and study, or which ones you feel really comfortable with, and then you can go tackle another topic as well. Review quizzes can be found also on the app. So GuildSomm has an app that is free with all annual memberships. And this is a great way to test your knowledge on the go while you're commuting, jumping into the Compendium, which I'll touch on in here in a second, but also again, kind of having those most up-to-date articles and different content that's released. Within these study guides, there's a lot of hyperlinks that go to another part of our website called the Compendium. The Compendium, again, if you kind of glance through and just see the level of detail that's included in here, this is really going to give you the most up-to-date kind of factual information when it comes to wine law, varieties, what are some restrictions, maybe it's based on minimum or maximum alcohol levels, aging requirements. And this is for all major wine growing regions, as well as spirits and even beverages such as coffee and tea. So we encourage everyone to really just almost get lost in the compendium at times, to be able to bounce around. There's pronunciations, which we know can be very helpful at times, right? When we're thinking about how do we study and how do we have that confidence that we can correctly pronounce certain regions or even producers as well. Also within this community, as I mentioned, it really started to have a place where people could come together, share ideas, but also kind of challenge each other, right, with different topics. So within our compendium and many of our guides, there's a discussion area at the bottom that allows people to go through. And if maybe there's a question that's a little confusing on here, you can kind of jump down and see and just chime in with your questions. So maybe you found something that, maybe it was a conflicting piece of information. Putting that here in this community allows us as a team to make sure we fact check that, but it also allows a nice dialogue that helps everyone just better understand these very complicated topics at times. And so it's really fun sometimes to see just the vast amount of community engagement as people are studying and really deep in an understanding on these as well. I'll return back to our mega menu and end with the expert guides when it comes to the levels of different guides. We have different topics such as viticulture or the science of tasting or winemaking, really, again, kind of detailed for maybe it's a vineyard operations and going through what is it going to take as we're going through the vineyards from pruning and preparation of the vine all the way to the winemaking side and kind of everything in between. So those expert guides, again, just build on the level of technical and the level of just detail within the study guides. For those that enjoy just a different pace of learning, we also have a fantastic library of e-learning courses. Again, all of this included within a membership at GuildSomm, but it could be a great onboarding tool for your team if you don't have a robust educational department within your organization, or you may just want to learn a little bit more about beer as an aficionado. And this will give you a good knowledge check and interactive and flip cards and different things with these. But it gives you a nice way that you can kind of go through this, pause at any given time, your progress is tracked, and then you can kind of evaluate where you are in your own journey there too. So these are a great way, whether it's through these 101 courses or more kind of in detail, more specific regional overviews. Some might take a couple of hours to go through. Others might only take about 30 minutes. We indicate that on each course. But again, it just offers a different style of that learning. As we know, it's difficult sometimes to really, truly understand a complex topic. And so having it in visuals and audio and just different ways allows kind of each learner to find their own path to really kind of gather all of that comprehension. We have some unique resources such as vintage cards or producer profiles that allow, I'll stick with my Italy theme here and kind of jump into the Barolo category, but it allows a little bit more of a detailed overview of different producers, typically the top 24 or so that we've kind of continued to rotate through. But this will give you a very kind of, again, high level, but more informative than sometimes you can find on even just a website, a brand website, and kind of what are some of the flagship wines or vintages from that particular producer, importer websites, et cetera. So we've got those for, kind of all major wine regions as well. It's kind of fun. You can vote different producers up or down. So just kind of fun sometimes to see which producers our membership community have really valued on their wine list, or even just as they've enjoyed over the years too. Our vintage cards are a fun way to really think through a particular region and a particular vintage, and what did that mean during the growing season, and how did that impact the final wine. So these are ones that, again, you can quickly kind of download or use in your own flashcards if you're going through those for studying. And we also have some neat ones that are decade summaries. So going through them from the 90s for the Madoc, and looking through, what did each vintage bring. Some of them, it's hard to know, should you drink now or hold for later? And this will at least kind of guide some of the kind of traditional vintages and what happened in that growing season in order to really kind of tell the story of the wine in the bottle that year too. And then, as I mentioned, we've got, different things from job boards to, kind of blind tasting groups. A lot of our media is probably what may have brought you here today. You knew us through our podcast or our regional videos, but all of these different webinars that are recorded for our members, 99% of them are complimentary in nature, that you can go back and watch. We have a few smaller workshops, such as public speaking in the wine industry, where we had a lot more kind of application and breakout rooms and practice sessions. So there's a small fee for some of those to go back and reference. But it's a great way to be able to, again, kind of use this information in a different style and learn at a different pace as well. So that is, for the most part, a quick overview of the GuildSomm platform. One final piece is I'll mention this Explore tab. Sometimes there's so much information in all of these different areas, it's hard to know where to start. And so we recommend the Explore tab, because this can take you to, let's say, Italy, Northern Italy, and here you go. This is all of the types of information and the different mediums that exist for a place like Northern Italy or any of the major regions. And then you can kind of choose that progression or bounce around through those different areas. So these will link you to all of those areas that I mentioned as well. The Explore tab can also be found on the homepage. So if you were just jumping on quickly and you wanted to explore by topic, over here with the Explore tab takes you right there to it as well. So we're really excited to share some of the things that maybe you didn't realize existed within a GuildSomm membership. And we appreciate, your following, whether that's on social or our newsletter. And we're really excited about potentially, having you join as a member as well. We have different offerings or different discounted options for teams starting at 5 or more. So if there's ever something for your team or a tasting group, just reach out to us. We certainly want to make sure that our resources and materials can be accessible and available for anyone that's passionate about learning more and really kind of building up this industry that we all love so much. So feel free, email us at info@guildsomm.com, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you in the forum soon. Cheers.